Pace Whitecamp, and this week I'm in the studio with local chef and culinary genius Jonathan Brooks. Jonathan has opened 2 spectacular restaurants called Milktooth and a new, more intimate dinner spot called Beholder. It has received local and extraneous acclaim. Jonathan, thank you so much for being here.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Really appreciate you. So, kind of first off, do you mind introducing yourself to
Sure,
people who aren't really aware?
My name's Jonathan. I'm the chef and owner of Milktooth, which is like a breakfast and lunch place in Fletcher Place, and then also the dinner kind of wine bar Beholder, kind of out on the near east side.
Awesome. So, kind of first jumping into to paint the picture, where are you from originally?
I'm from Indianapolis.
You're from Indy?
Yeah, I kind of grew up in the what they now call Sobro area.
Like Broad Ripple?
Yeah.
Gotcha. So,
Yeah.
before Broad Ripple was the way it kind of is today, or was it always?
Oh yeah, I mean it was way different growing up. It was, Broad Ripple itself. Talking about Broad Ripple, I mean it was more of kind of like hippie dippy, bridge kid, fucking fun.
Yeah.
Neighborhood.
Of
Not
course.
that I have anything against Broad Ripple now, but it's certainly changed a lot.
So, what was kind of your family life like? Were you, how many, is it just you?
I have 3 older siblings, 2 older sisters and an older brother. Kind of if you wanted to bring it back to culinary, I always had a family that cooked. My older siblings are were very into sports and kind of obsessed with athletics.
Gotcha.
So we always had lots of people in our house eating there,
So kind of
communing there.
making big communal dinner, kind of those kind of.
We also had lots of exchange students growing up. My family took on exchange students as a way to supplement their income.
You were like the
From
host
all
family?
over the world, yeah. So I had a lot of experiences with people from Venezuela, UAE, Korea, Japan.
That's so cool.
All the time growing up.
So was that did that influence the kind of cuisine your parents were cooking? Were they always trying to make new stuff?
Yeah, I think my parents were pretty adventurous cooks already. And so I was kind of excited about food already, but those were just kind of new doors to open and talk to people and something to kind of relate.
But at that point, was it just kind of like an interest for you, or was it just...
Yeah, I mean, this is when I was really young.
Yeah.
This is from the time I was, 5 to in high school.
But you were always eating like good food?
Yeah,
and that
we
kind of
always
thing.
liked to eat. My mom was the kind of person that anybody that walked through the front door was getting at least offered, and in most cases pressured to eat something.
Gotcha. So what other interests did you have then than culinary and that kind of thing? What kind of stuff did you do
in
as a
high
kid?
school, I was more into like art and music and just kind of being a bad kid and having fun.
Like just around it, causing chaos around it?
Yeah, just trying to have fun all the time, every day. I've always loved food though. I love literature and art, music for sure. Those are interests I still have. I never thought about food seriously until after high school.
What kind of brought that on when you started thinking about seriously?
I moved out to Montana where my brother was living at the time, and I was just working in like an organic grocery store just because I wanted to learn about, I was also hunting and fishing with him, and I wanted to learn about breaking down whole animals. And I'd already loved cooking, so I inevitably ended up talking to people that were buying fish and meat and produce about what
And
they
being
were
in
gonna
Montana,
do
you
with
had
it.
all that stuff pretty
Yeah,
readily available,
and
quality.
at that point I was like, I should, I guess maybe get serious about it. It's all I do, or all I think about anyway.
So, did you stay in Montana with that mentality and start working around places there?
Yeah, I stayed in Montana for about 5 to 6 years total. 2 different times. I had moved back very briefly after I had like a leg injury. I'd fallen off a roof and I couldn't really work and support myself, so I kind of had to come crawling back.
Okay.
My tail tucked between my legs, lived with my folks for a little bit, and then I moved back as soon as I could. And at that point, I was made aware of this dude, Paul Myers, who was moving back from Seattle. He worked in a bunch of Tom Douglas restaurants. He's a really well-known chef out there. He was opening up a pretty progressive place in Missoula. And so I kind of lied my way into working for him.
Lied your way into
Yeah,
it?
just kind of, fudged on the resume a little bit.
Gotcha. Just kind of made it seem a little bit more professional. And just...
for sure. Or just, I think I straight up lied about some things I knew how to cook in places I'd worked to. Because, I had confidence I could back it up.
Yeah, of course.
I just didn't think he would be interested in me
Right,
unless I did.
you knew you could do it, but you wanted to have it on paper. So what were you doing for him?
I was a line cook at his restaurant.
Line cooking?
Yeah. And at that point, I was obsessed. Not that I'm still not, but it was when I was younger, early 20s, I was, really obsessed. All I read was cookbooks.
Like, you had that
all
early
I did was
passion,
fucking
just,
cook, all the time.
That was just basically all of it. So what kind of stuff were you cooking?
There was some game. He was kind of cooking progressive, like almost like Brooklyn style food. There was pork bellies and offcuts of meat and, Mexican influences and French influences, but all in kind of a contemporary, pretty, unexpected kind of way.
So is that did you find yourself getting a lot of ideas through that?
Oh yeah,
I've
I've stolen lots from Paul. I'm sure lots from Paul over the years. Yeah, I mean, he was one of the most influential people I've ever worked for still.
Like restaurant theme wise, just culinary
Yeah, I mean,
as well,
just
like
kind
cuisine?
of passion wise, he was just like obsessed with food and just a huge food nerd. And it's all we talked about and it's all we cared about. And yeah, I mean, I stole that from him. He kind of was a nice mentor as far as
Yeah.
like, this is your life, it's going to be your life. You're going to have to give up. This is all unspoken. It's not like
Yeah,
he sat me down,
yeah.
but watching him, it's like, you're going to give up a lot of your personal life.
He
and
kind
a
of
lot
taught you the restaurant industry.
Sure, yeah.
That's great. So after you worked how long did you work with him for?
That restaurant was only open a couple of years,
Okay.
and then it closed down. The beautiful thing about Missoula, Montana, is that people go out and hunt and fish and cook for themselves, and that's really attractive.
Right.
But it's also, at the time, was not a super supportive kind of environment for a restaurant of that type.
Right.
So, heartbroken for Paul that the restaurant didn't survive, but certainly nothing but good memories about it, and
Of
people
course.
fucking
And
loved it.
Yeah, it
when
had a
we were
great
open.
message and was
Yeah.
doing dope
I
shit.
mean, we're the hottest place in town for sure.
Right. So after that, did you move back to Indy, or were you staying in
After
Montana for a
that,
while?
I was married the first time then, and I had kind of dragged my then wife out to Missoula
Okay.
with me. And so once the restaurant closed, it was kind of her turn to decide where we went. And so she chose to go to Chicago because she had a friend out there, good
Okay.
friend, who also worked in the restaurant business. She was a server too, and Chicago was a complete opposite of Missoula as far as supporting restaurants.
Right.
So I knew I could move out there and challenge myself in kind of a different way with food and working in restaurants.
What were you doing? I mean, so I'm just kind of trying to paint that picture of when did it lead to you actually like kind of doing your own independent thing?
Yeah, so I mean,
Yeah.
we moved to Chicago and were there about 3 years. I worked in some really, I don't like name dropping, but I worked in some really badass fucking restaurants in
Yeah.
Chicago. Definitely, Chicago taught me how to be a line cook. It was more like very, very aggressive and very, very competitive
Yeah.
there.
Right.
There's always somebody that could do your job
Right, and
better
you can't
than
play
you.
around. Like it's
So I learned to be just kind of a badass line cook in Chicago, and as well as spent all my money on going out and eating
Right.
in restaurants and bad behavior. Then came back to Indy, worked for Greg Hardesty for a long time, 5-6 years.
was that at Recess?
That was at
Yeah.
Recess, yeah. And then kind of at the end of that, Greg was giving me a lot of freedom, a lot of confidence in me to kind of do my own thing with his menu and his restaurant. And by that time, just wanted to do my own thing. I've never liked really having a boss. I mean, I've had great
Right.
mentors, but I've never been the kind of kid or young adult that I still consider myself that likes like following somebody else's direction.
Right. So were you kind of were given that initiative to do your own thing at Recess
Mhm.
though, with your own menu and that
Yeah.
kind of stuff?
Yeah, I think Greg was making a push at that point to do some like PR stuff, and he was out of town more. And Abby Maris had opened that place. He'd given her some freedom, and then he kind of even kicked it up and gave me a lot more freedom. And I think once that happened, there was no like going back for me. Like once I was back in my hometown, and people started to pay attention to what I was doing and
Right.
like what I was doing, there was no way I felt like I could go work for someone else again.
Right. So I mean, so you were even on the map before Milktooth. Like you were on people's radar as a talented chef.
I mean, in a small way.
Yeah.
Starting to build a following.
Right.
Certainly by the time Milktooth opened, there was a lot of people in Indy excited about it.
Right. 'Cause, I mean, in 2014, I mean, it was kind of needed. I guess it was.
Yeah.
It was great for what it was and
Mhm.
all that stuff. So I mean, it's a brunch spot that provides good food option using local and quality ingredients. Right. That's the
Mhm.
kind of
That's
tagline.
the concept, if nothing else. I mean, I've been working almost a decade at this point in kind of finer dining restaurants,
Mhm.
and there was no one, much less in Indy, there was no one really in the country at that point, or at least that I was aware of, that was approaching breakfast with the same quality of ingredients, the same level of like technique and execution and inspiration.
And kind of
as
uniqueness,
dinner.
right? As well, right?
So we kind of hit right time, right place
Right.
for Milktooth for sure.
What was it like opening your own restaurant for the first time? Was it overwhelming?
Oh yeah, I remember it being overwhelming and scary, but I think like they say when women give birth, there's some enzyme in their brain that's released that makes you not remember how awful it was, because you would never
So,
have more
like, blocking
kids,
it out,
right?
right,
So I
yeah.
feel like a lot of the stresses of it I've kind of blocked out. I mean, I remember being really excited, but I also just remember being just terrified, that all
Right.
the spotlight was going to be on
Right.
me.
It's
I was borrowing money that was unfathomable amounts of money to me.
to make.
That,
this
I
happen,
mean,
yeah.
really not that much money, but I mean, for a kid that has nothing,
Right.
that's a lot of pressure.
Because you're given that spotlight of just like, hey, here's money, here's your talent, make this happen on a
And
more scale.
somehow feeling like if I fucked up, that I'd get thrown in jail or something.
Right. I mean, yeah, that all runs through. That has to all run through your head at that
Yeah.
point. Yeah. So, what was kind of the reaction from the area when you first opened? Did you have a lot of people digging it?
I mean, when we first opened, it was so busy that I was not even really thinking about how it was being perceived. And I just thought I would open up kind of a cute local hole-in-the-wall breakfast place, and my friends would come in, and that was kind of my only goal.
Right.
And then most people that are familiar with Milktooth know that we won some huge awards, like
So I
immediately.
was about to jump into that. I mean, right
Yeah.
after you got the best new chef, you personally got that best new chef from
Mhm.
Food and Wine, and then it was one of 10 restaurants on Bon Appetit, right?
Yep, best new restaurant from Bon Appetit. We also the next year got on the Condé Nast list of like 200 best restaurants in the world.
That's nuts.
And I mean, it was like I had been really obsessed with reading those magazines and following James Beard and stuff when I was
Right.
younger. But kind of once I'd moved back to Indy, I was working so much. I'd had my son. I wasn't really following that kind of stuff.
Gotcha.
So it was so fucking far off my radar.
Like completely
Anyway,
unexpected.
and then more unexpected that we would be fucking paid attention to like that. So it was like, just hit me out of nowhere.
Was that your first real, like, I guess, critical acclaim?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Just, I mean, it was the first time, like, a actual, like, national-wide thing was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I like what you're doing.
Yeah, that was crazy. I mean, Danny Cowan, who was the editor of Food and Wine, had apparently come into the restaurant and eaten there.
You
I mean,
didn't
this
know that?
wasn't like bullshit PR. We've
Right.
never done PR. We've never had spent any
It's all,
money
like,
on
word of
marketing.
mouth stuff?
This was literally someone put in a good word for us up the chain, and she came and ate and liked it enough to, yeah.
That's really, really cool.
And
Did
embarrassingly, as a chef, you should probably be a little more aware when the editor of Food
Right,
and Wine comes
right.
and eats at
Get
your
him a nice
restaurant.
table,
But
or-
I mean, I was literally the first 2 to 3 years just head down, working the line, getting my ass kicked.
But that's a
every
good
day,
thing because
so.
you know your product is that good that you don't even
Yeah.
have to make it special for her when
Sure.
she comes in.
Yeah, that's the goal.
So did anything change whenever that happened? Like, was a change
Oh
in
my
mindset?
god! I mean, I think, I've always put a lot of pressure on myself. I think definitely when those things happened, I remember saying to my partner at the time that I didn't even want to accept the awards because I just wanted to keep working and keep doing our thing. But it's not; those are not individual awards. I mean, even the best chef award, that doesn't come on your own.
Right.
And I've had so many great people work for me and that still work for me over the years. I mean, that's as much their award as it is mine.
Exactly.
So it would have kind of been shitty if I hadn't accepted it.
Right. Well, I mean, because, yeah, restaurants are kind of well-oiled machines. You have to
Yeah.
have everyone doing their own separate things. So,
Yeah. I mean, we certainly, I think the year after we won that was probably our busiest year to date.
I mean,
We
everybody-
certainly blew up. Then there was national attention, then there was like more local attention. Even after that, they had a day of the year named National Milk.
Seriously?
Indianapolis Milktooth Day.
that's nuts.
Yeah.
What date is that?
I think it's the day that we opened, October 5th.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
I'd have to look back. We have a plaque in Milktooth.
It's really, really cool.
Yeah.
So, do you get a lot of business, like, during cold season and that kind of thing? Are you always hopping?
I mean, Milktooth is pretty much always doing well. I mean, I think we have somewhat of a reputation that it's like hard to get in every day. It's definitely not that. I mean, you
Gotcha.
come during the week,
Yeah, and it's
get
just-
right in,
there's
have a
all-
nice, calm breakfast. The weekends are always popping. But yeah, it's settled back down to where it's like manageable and nice and
So,
somewhat predictive.
that's great. That's
Yeah.
really, really cool. So, I mean, after this, did you have the vision in mind of, like, I want to open a second restaurant? Was it always kind of in your
I mean, I
mind?
hadn't thought of it for a couple years. I mean, the first couple of years Milk Tooth was open, I never thought of it.
Exactly.
But I am the kind of person that, number one, I get bored easily. I always want to do something exciting. I think I also, as a, I consider myself, I guess, a technician of what I do, I guess. I think as someone that is a technician, you want to stay hungry. You want to stay, you don't want to be complacent. And so I feel like I owe people not getting bored and trying to do new things. As well as, I think if you want to cultivate a restaurant where someone's coming up under you and the restaurant is continuing to change and have an interesting story, that's not just about me. At some point I have to get out of the way, let other people do it. I mean, the proudest I am now is the staff that does their own thing, and I go in and just taste their food. And and I see people being able to buy their own houses or buy a new car off working there and like make their own lives. Cool. Or leave and step into other things. That's what gets me off now.
And that's kind of exactly what you did with Beholder opening, right? I mean, that was 4 years after, correct?
Yes.
In 2018.
Yep.
So was that just you stepping away and being like you mentioned, like, okay, I trust you to run this restaurant. I want to do this.
Yeah, I mean, I have very stable people in point at that point. My partner in Beholder, Josh Maznowski, I worked with at Recess, and we had a great working relationship there. And so he was kind of ready to do his own thing. I was ready to do something else. I think it just a couple times we were hanging out, drinking wine. Over those first conversations, we were like, yeah, let's just fucking open another restaurant.
It seems exactly kind of like Milk Tooth all came together at the perfect time.
And I mean, I think maybe in a lot of ways the second one was even scarier.
Really?
It might have been a little bit quicker to kind of get done, but it was more intimidating. I mean, Milk Tooth's still my baby, and like leaving it with other people is always stressful.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, and I guess it's a very big contrast because it's this new intimate dinner place on 10th Street, like not in the best areas. Like it's something very, very new, and I mean, obviously it's worked. Like, it's worked very, very well.
Yeah, I mean, we've not hit the ground running and had the awards that we did with Milk Tooth for Beholder, but we've had to build it like day in, day out, just on our blood, sweat, and tears. Yeah. But that's been fun too.
So what kind of duties do you have over at Beholder? What kind of stuff are you running? Are you doing all cuisine and then Josh handles the wine? Yeah,
pretty much. Like, I do all the food, I do the social media, I do the hiring and firing of the kitchen staff. We kind of organize events together. Josh runs the bar program and the wine program. Josh does all the responsible adult things that I'm not good at, like payroll and paying the bills. He kind of handles that. So I can do the fun stuff.
That's great. That's kind of great. That's what you want out of a partner almost.
Right.
So I want to actually focus, now that you mentioned those dinners, are those a big thing that you like to do?
Like the pop-ups?
Yeah, because I've only been, I went to your Jonathan Brooks' Fat. I mean, oh my gosh, absolutely fantastic. Yeah. But is dinners just kind of have you been doing these since...
I mean, I've always liked the pop-up thing. Like, I did pop-ups for Milk Tooth just before I had a brick and mortar. It was kind of like getting people excited about it. I've always had dinner parties with friends. To me, the pop-ups are like an extended invitation of just like a dinner party.
Right.
It's a little more laid back. I think, it's normally less people, so you can kind of flex with the food a little bit differently.
Right.
And like I said, I always get sort of bored. It's an opportunity to sometimes work with other people that don't work at the restaurant. Like, friends can come from other restaurants and help out for the night.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of, I think, another vein of having something to offer people.
Yeah, I never really thought about it that way, but I think the way you did pop-ups kind of transitioned indie. Like, I haven't seen very many pop-up dinners. Like, I mean, of course you have like Bluebeard and there's like a lot of great restaurants that have it, but I guess the way you do it with ever-changing themes and stuff, that I've never really seen before in indie.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of it's just kind of like greedy. Like, it's shit we want to do, but maybe, we just did a Jewish night, Jewish deli night. I have a lot of Jewish family, and I love that kind of cuisine. But it's not something necessarily, if I flip the whole menu at Beholder, people would necessarily be excited about.
Right. So you're running these almost as like an extension.
Yeah, just get a wild hair up your ass. It's fun to just do. I also think it's important for younger cooks to see people in my position just doing fun shit.
Yeah.
Like, it is, it's a wonderful career, but it's trying. It can grind you down.
Right.
And I think you need to have outlets that are doing things purely for fun.
And that's
Not for money, not for reputation, not for trying to outflex anybody on food, just purely for having a good time. I think it's super important, and I want to see other people do it too. There are a lot more people doing it nowadays.
Yeah,
Sure.
and I think definitely, leading some examples that you're setting around Indy definitely could be followed by more chefs, especially being in the Midwest. It's not really, there's not the unique chefs like you that are doing this kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Like, being in Indiana, this is not what you'd expect. You have to dive deep for it.
Yeah. I mean, I think there are a lot of people in town doing cool shit, but I've always been willing to kind of stick my neck out, say things that maybe no one else will say, stick up and represent myself in ways that maybe other people that I'm sometimes uncomfortable doing, but it's part of the game. If you want to be a successful chef, people want to see your personality.
Yeah.
They want to buy into your story, whether they like you or not, or think they know you or not. And so I've definitely had to push my personal comfort levels doing that, but it's fun too.
Is it challenging to do that? Like, being kind of almost like, I'll use this term loosely, but almost like sticking out like a sore thumb of chefs in Indy. Like, you do something that's so unique and bring something to a table as a personality. Is it hard to deal with that and put that out there like
I just kind of don't deal with it now. I mean, I think I learned my lesson early on, reading into what people think about you or what they think of the restaurant. And now it's just, I just do my own thing,
Just don't give
what
a
I
shit,
like,
just, yeah.
and I just don't even pay attention to the negative. Because people are always going to hate on you.
Right.
You could, walk on water and save baby seals, and people are going to find a way to hate on it.
Right, exactly.
So you might as well not be distracted. And I don't have enough time to be distracted by that stuff anymore.
The people that are doing the hate are the people that are bored and have nothing better to do than
who knows?
to hate on it. Right. So I guess in this kind of last segment, I want to talk about what your plans are for 2020 and what people can expect from you.
Mm-hmm.
So what kind of stuff can people expect from Jonathan Brooks in 2020?
In 2020, I mean, I will be completely honest with you. I had a couple ideas for some projects, but right now I have nothing planned specifically new. I mean, I want to keep working at Beholder. The crew's changed at Milktooth. I want to keep supporting my sous chefs and the people coming up next. Keep pushing myself. I want to take a little more time off this year than I ever have before. Now I have an 8-year-old who's my best friend and an amazing wife who's my best friend, and take time off to travel with them and cook at home maybe someday.
Are you usually cooking in the restaurant? You don't really cook at home?
I almost never cook at home.
Really?
I mean, other than making like junk food. I mean, I have my son 2 to 3 days a week, and if he wants he usually wants something really simple like steak or fish and vegetables,
So you just
and
throw
we
that
do
shit.
that. But I mean, I don't cook elaborate stuff at home.
That makes sense. I mean, you don't probably already burn yourself out enough at work.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to bring that shit
I
home.
I come through occasionally with the family gatherings, a case of crab or a brisket or something really fun.
So
But
what-
it's few and far between.
So what other stuff do you do outside work? What kind of stuff are you interested in that people wouldn't really know about?
I just joined this National Satanic Temple.
Interesting. That's an interesting career
Not a
move.
devil worshiper, but it's more of kind of a freedom activist kind of community.
So it's just like, what made you want to do that?
I think it's fun and interesting.
Is it like a group
I
that you
feel,
have with?
no, it's a national group. I mean, there's probably meetings. I don't plan on going to any meetings, but it's more of tenets of, people think we live in this inherently Christian society, and that's not the way it's supposed to be.
Right.
It's supposed to be free religion for everybody. So I certainly want to kind of, I don't know, maybe I'll do like a black mass brunch at Milktooth or something.
Heck yeah.
Just kind of show the other side.
I like that.
Yeah.
So what made you want to, is it just,
I think it's just part of my personality to kind of push boundaries and get in people's face a little bit.
and discover...
But also, the tenets of it make a lot of sense, and it's about religious freedom, it's about nonviolence, it's about supporting women and minorities. They're just kind of hijacking Christian, I guess, iconography to shock people and get attention.
Gotcha. That's not bad. I mean, to each his own, you know what I mean? Like, that's not bad.
Yeah.
So...
We love hiking. Me and my son and my wife have been trying to go hike as much as possible. Get outside, get muddy.
That's good.
Yeah.
Is it just, are you trying to kind of improvise and do as much as possible when you're not working?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I lived out in Montana a long time. I'd love to live there someday again. Like keeping my son active.
And just do as much as spending time as a family.
Yeah, for sure.
It's great. So what what dinners do you have coming up? Anything that you have coming up that you'd like to shout out?
We have a big Fat Tuesday party at Milktooth at the end of this month. I don't think we have any other pop-ups at Beholder, but I mean that could change this week.
Right.
You know,
Just
I
if you
definitely
feel like
recommend if people like what we do, follow our social media because we don't really do traditional marketing. We've never had enough money for that. So follow us at milktoothindy.com or beholderindy.com and then the respective Instagram and Facebook accounts.
Awesome. Well, Jonathan, I appreciate you coming by, man. This has been
Yeah,
a long-waited
for
interview
sure.
for me. I
appreciate
really
you having
enjoy
me.
all your stuff.
And come to the dinners. Appreciate your
100%.
support for sure.
Dude, oh my gosh. I wanted to kind of address this. It's kind of hard to segment in, but kind of off script. That bear fat Oreo
Yeah.
was insanity.
Pretty cool.
You got that from your brother in Montana, right?
Yeah,
That
so
bear fat?
you're not really supposed to serve bear fat because it was shot wild.
Okay.
But for a private dinner, and we didn't charge for it, we just gave it away. So
It was
why
amazing.
not? Bear fat Oreo.
It's a great way to end it. Well, thank you, Jonathan. I really appreciate you coming by.
Cheers, man. Hail Satan.